Hi everyone, it's Vacha here from recordingstudio9.com, and today I have a tip for you that will improve your recording, not drastically, because that's up to you, but improve it dynamically so that it sounds much more natural, much more pleasing to the ear. And this is especially if you are using keyboard to record or sound modules to record your music, or VST plugins and so on, where the dynamic range of those sounds are somewhat limited. So you want to be able to add dynamics, and in a few moments I will show you how to do that by adding volume variations. You might have seen me in the last couple videos that I've demonstrated the MIDI controllers or Surface devices, which look something like this one. That's what I'll be using to actually demonstrate the volume variations. Basically what I'll do is, as the track is playing, I start recording volume automations and use my MIDI controller to adjust the volume slightly, very subtle variations to achieve that volume variation that a real instrument would normally have. Let's say a drummer is a good example, is when the drum is playing, obviously you won't be able to hit the drum the same strength every single time. So by using either MIDI devices, or obviously if you don't have one, you can certainly use your mouse to move your volume control up and down and create volume automation and have that dynamic addition. So without any further ado, let's get onto the screen and I will show you how to achieve that.
Okay, what we're looking at is the drum overhead track of this song, and we are going to adjust the levels slightly up and down, no more than 3 dB at the maximum adjustment level of the the center level that we have for this drum track. And we're going to add automation to that, so as we are listening to it, we're going to adjust it, and those adjustments going to be recorded as a volume automation, and that's going to be shown over here. Okay, so I have my Surface device, my MIDI controller connected, and it is assigned to that controller. So as I adjust, like I will do now, you can see the volume adjust without my mouse. So that's what we are trying to achieve. So let's have a quick listen to the song, and then we'll see how much difference it will make in thing. You have to remember that the changes are going to be very subtle changes, just like when the drummer is hitting those the drums and everything else while he's playing. He was never going to hit the same strength every single time. And what we're trying to simulate, because this is a drum machine from a keyboard that has been played, what we're trying to simulate is that strength differences in hitting the drum in very subtle variations, and to give the sound, in this case the drum overhead, that extra dynamics to give the feel of a real drummer playing it. So let's have a quick listen and do adjustment without any recording of it, of the automation. So as you can hear, I can turn the volume up. Okay, that's a drastic change that I'm actually doing. So that's what we're trying to do. So they actually, if we have a listen, I'll just solo that in, have a listen to it. So I can turn it up or turn it down. What we want to achieve is, normally the volume of this track is about minus 11 dB, which is indicated around there. So we want to play around between, maybe 10 and minus 12, 13. Just sort of touch, just touching it and then giving it a we can just go changes a bit if you want to give any extra dynamics, and trying to move it in the sort of same rhythm, same tempo. And so on. So you get the idea. So that's what we are trying to achieve, to get that variation in. So let's just turn on and say now we are going to write the automation from the beginning, and I will adjust my fader levels up and down in that slight differences, and then see how it goes. Let's go. Here we go. Just keep in sort of mind, sort of here comes the roll. Anyway, I think you will pretty much get the idea. As you can see, is all that variation is happening, and depending on the sound that you want to achieve, the effect you want to achieve, how much dynamics you want to achieve, and so on. So we can stop that now, and we can turn that from to read. Let's reverse back and have a quick listen. So no changes here. Oops. And you can go in and really create or add or remove any of these settings, but the whole idea is to give it a random effect. So if we add, okay, now the difference is very subtle, and it has to be subtle because we don't want our drummer to be too much out of its dynamics, but that's what you want to achieve, just random volume variations as part of automation to adjust and give that extra dynamics. Now I've shown you how to do it on drums. I usually use it on the drums, but there's nothing stopping you to use it on the snare or on any other instruments. String instruments and pads work really well as you vary it slowly up and down to give that extra dynamics of quiet passages, so the strings or any pad synths coming down and then going up and so on, to give that extra feeling, extra sensitivity in each instrument, because they're not real players, they're not real instruments. It's all coming from, in this case, coming from a keyboard, where if you are using a VST plugin would be the same situation, and if you're using a drum machine and so on. So hopefully this was helpful enough to give you a different idea, a better idea, to improve on the quality of the music that's being produced, to give that extra dynamic and human feel into it.
Well, I hope that was informative enough, and you did understand, you did grasp what I was trying to do, even though you couldn't physically see me moving the volume, but as you would have seen, as the volume was going up and down slightly, I was just touching the controller just slightly up and down to achieve that. I mean, there are easier ways. I mean, you can use your mouse, but at the same time, there is an option. So in MIDI surface devices like this one, or the Korg Nano Controller 2, I think it's called, where you can actually set the minimum value and the maximum value of this slider control code that it's being sent, the value. So if you remember, in my previous video I demonstrated how the value could be from 0 to 127, but guess what, you can actually adjust it so it's down from, let's say, 50 to 60. So that's 50 and that's 60, so you have much more control, and you'll be adjusting 3 dB by moving the whole slider up and down. So that's something else that I haven't mentioned in the thing. So you can do that. You can program them so that you either touch it by tiny with a finger or adjust it maximum and give the same narrow range of dB change. Well, I hope that was helpful enough, and if you have any more further questions you'd like to ask about this experiment and how I've done it, you can write your comments below, and I'll be more than happy to answer them as much as I can. And if you haven't subscribed, you're welcome to subscribe to my channel, so you're always updated on any new research and any new techniques and tips that I come up with. And if you haven't visited my website, recordingstudio9.com, please do so. There's a lot more information there as well. And until next time, thanks for watching. Cheerio.